What's going on? I'm Mario.
And we got Nelson from
Yeah,
Florida over here.
yeah, you are. Wait,
We got flipped around quite often.
yeah. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's weird. I'm glad I'm wearing a home and you're wearing away because if not, we can tell.
yeah. We
Definitely
do.
can tell anybody.
We had to coordinate this because
Yeah.
it's my brother from another mother down south, and we take turns. Whenever we want to screw people up, we swap around. He comes up north, I go down south, and
Yeah. Nobody tells it. Nobody can even tell, honestly.
so yeah. No, thank you so much for popping on the show, man. For people who don't know, and there's some people that have been following us since last year when we started this up. At the beginning of the show, we started off the first year with an intro. I had this "I Love My BA90" beat that went on that Nelson helped put together, which was awesome. I remember when we first started off, the girls, my wife and Nina and Maz were starting off the Agish also, and he helped them out with a pretty cool beat there. And me and Nelson are from the same age group, I guess you could say. So
Yeah.
when he whipped that up, I was like, "Oh, that's sick! I get this reference." And then we at the time it was Dylan, which Dylan is a lot younger, and he's like, "I don't get it." I'm like, I like my, I started doing the beat. He's like,
Yeah.
I still don't get it. You know that MTV tune?
Uh,
He's like,
yeah.
what,
Yeah.
like the Jersey Shore channel?
Uh,
I'm like, no,
right.
the music
Oh
video
man,
channel. And he's like, yeah,
terrible.
that's on YouTube nowadays. I'm like, I felt so old right there, but I was like, fuck it, we're keeping this tune. We got it for the rest of the season. You guys can change it next year. This
That's
stays
right.
for the
That's right.
yeah. So I friggin' love that tune.
No, it's fantastic. I'm glad I had the opportunity to put together something for you, something for the girls, and it's something I've always liked doing, putting audio clips and little bits and snippets here and there. And anyone who's listened to anything in the Benfica podcast community has I for a while I did a bit for Alfredo and Chris over at Benfica podcast, the halftime headlines. I did that for about a year and a half or so, and just regular life commitments got in the way, so I wasn't able to continue, but that's okay. But here we are now, man. I'm glad to be on the show and very grateful for the opportunity. So thanks, Mario.
Yeah, man. Well, that's a big throwback right there because I remember that was years back. It feels like
Yeah,
yesterday, but it was years back. And I remember like I'd be doing the show with Alfredo because he'd have all these, whether it be Timo or one of us as a guest, yourself, Sergio, and
yep,
so on,
yep,
right? And so we kind of always had this rotating docket of people, and Alfredo would have Cristiano, it would be him and Cristiano, and then sometimes, and then also Steve, and then sometimes Neil and other people on things of the
yep.
sort. Um, Remember, he'd do the show, we'd be talking, and Alfredo would do this one. Okay, now we're going to pause for the halftime headlines.
That's it.
All right, and hopefully you like that and you keep going, right? And if you
Yeah.
listen live, you didn't actually hear the headline. And then it was
No.
afterwards, he'd had this like, it was
Yeah,
awesome. It
yeah.
was awesome. I forget the girl's voice in it or whatever, the halftime headline or whatever it said, but yeah. And then it was pretty cool. And it's fun. I think in each of our own little ways, we've had a blast getting involved with Benfica in our own way we can, right?
For sure. Yeah, dig in our hands wherever we can. It's a community we love. It's people we love, and all sharing something in common. So why not contribute all you can?
Well, that's a big thing. And then for us out in the boonies, I'm in the sticks up north, and you're in the sticks down south.
Oh yeah,
um, how is that community down in your area? Because that's one area I'm not too familiar with. So the Florida area with the Portuguese community, you have a lot of Brazilians, Venezuelans, Cubans, things of the
yeah.
sort. But on the Portuguese side, how is that?
Yeah, sadly, where I live, not a tremendous amount. Yeah, I think when you start moving more inland towards Orlando in the center of the state, there's a significantly bigger community. But where I am, not a whole lot. Where I grew outside of Philadelphia, and there was a big Portuguese community there. As a kid, I remember going to Portuguese clubs and bars and watching the game there. But here, unfortunately, I don't have that opportunity to. So I connect with people online like you,
Yeah.
yourself, and the rest of the community. Watch online, listen to it a lot, lose when I can, and just follow it that way.
Very cool. And then when you think back to those days as a kid, what was the early moments you remember yourself related with Benfica, I guess you could say? When did that
Yeah,
kind of become a thing before it became a
yeah.
thing?
So my dad used to go to one of the Portuguese clubs locally, and there was one within 5 minutes walking distance. And probably my earliest memory there is there was like a foosball table, and some adults were playing, and they were done, and I wanted to play, so I was just playing by myself on the foosball table, and there was a lady there, and it was a Portuguese community. It wasn't just excuse me, it was a Portuguese bar, not just a Benfica bar. And there was a lady wearing a Porto shirt, and I just remember her sitting there minding her business right next to the foosball table. and I was like, man, I'm not sure why, but I don't think I like that lady. I think it was the shirt, but I didn't like her. So I'm moving the foosball guys, and I'm just kind of like slightly poking the bear every once in a while with the foosball handle on the other side, and she just gave me a dirty look, and I don't know. I think it blossomed from there.
Her
The
irritation
bad.
was your gain.
It was my her irritation was my motivation, and then I remember as a kid watching Benfica whenever I can, listen to it on the radio, just everything I possibly could absorb. And then one thing I wanted for Christmas, I think I was maybe like 8 or 9. It was really the first Benfiquista that I kind of connected with was João Pinto, and I
Okay.
remember watching him on TV, and I wanted for Christmas, get me a João Pinto shirt, get me a João Pinto shirt, and I was so excited. I was under the tree. There was a box in the right shape of like a jersey box, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be it." And then it ended up being a sweater. I
What
was
what
so
year would that
pissed.
have been?
Oh gosh, it might have been um 19, maybe 1990, 91, 92. Maybe I was maybe 8, 9 years old, something in that range, if I remember right. And it wasn't. It ended up being a sweater, and I was super upset about it. And I was just like, man, when I grow up, I'm gonna have to buy my own jersey. So I don't have
So
a one through jersey yet, but I still might get
I
one.
thought this was ending when I drove you a kid, but that's why I was asking for the year. I'm like, I gotta look up the year, kid. But I'm like, no, no, never mind. It's a sweater.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, yeah, that's how it is though when you're young, man. I feel
Oh yeah,
nowadays you got kids, I got kids. I feel they get anything in the world they want, but our generation was a little bit different, where I was kind of like, yeah, when I'm older, I'll get my things sooner or later.
right, 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 right. Yeah.
You didn't get things as easily.
No, no, we weren't as flexible back then.
But yeah, so you're following it from the early days. So you've had like a lot of Bifikijum from that we're pretty much hit this decade complete now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we got several decades here, but and looking at like the past 3 decades, I guess you could say, from that 90s to 2000s to 2010s, right? Is there like one or a couple players that pop into your mind that like these are the marquee guys in those 3 decades? Let's say three guys for 3 decades that kind of come
Yeah.
to your mind.
Oh man, in the couple decades, it was probably Rui Costa. I loved watching him play.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nuno Gomes, is a guy I watched play, and just he could move defenders when he wanted to, put him in bad positions, and he could finish. Lightning quick. Just a guy I really enjoyed. A guy in the most recent bit probably that I identified with the most. I'd probably have to put two, and it was more closer to the JJ era. One was Jardel. When I saw him start really to play and get a first team appearance, I just said, wow, this is a guy that a lot of people aren't giving merit for.
Yeah.
And I liked watching him play. I liked the way he played defense. I liked the way he stepped up and could tackle and wasn't scared to put a foot in. I liked the way how he's just a big, tall center back. Didn't take any garbage from anyone. And the other guy was Enzo, and
Yeah,
Enzo
yeah.
Perez. And gosh, I think there was I loved watching him play. And then when he left, I was legit heartbroken. Like that one really hurt. Watching. I didn't really care for Maxi leaving. I didn't really care for any of the guys that left, Rodrigo or whoever was out of contract and we sold on. But when Enzo left, it was a period of, it was almost like a bad breakup. Like I remember being generally angry at him for about a year and a half, and later on, you realize, hey, the guy leaves because it's going to get more money, right? A player's life is finite, and you got to support your family, you got to take care of them, and take the money because he's not going to be playing when he's 50. That's for sure. So
Yeah,
those are the guys I identified with.
yeah. I was talking to Luigi and Alex because we've done this decade show that we
Mm-hmm.
put together, and when we were kind of prepping for it, we were talking about actually Enzo was one of the names that came up. And,
Mm-hmm.
and partly for me, it was kind of his story at Benfica was a bit of a unique one. It was he came,
Mm-hmm.
didn't initially fit in, didn't
Yep.
work out. He
Yep.
got shipped back to Argentina. young guy, and he kind of it didn't work out. So his first taste in Europe wasn't the way he felt, and he didn't feel comfortable. And there was a
Right.
bit of a stink at one point where it was kind of like, hey, it's time for him to come back because I don't want to come back because I it didn't work out last time. I don't know if it's gonna work out, and it was kind of
Right.
it made this guy's not a fit, yada yada yada. And then long story short, he came in. And here's this attacking midfielder that got converted by George Jesus to more of a defensive mid, but he was this mean box to box guy that
Yeah.
just was a terror. The time he ended up being at the main team, and it was one of these
Yeah.
things where it seemed like it started rocky, but then his passion, his love, you got to see it. The guy truly enjoyed his time here, and it's
Yeah.
and there's some players more than others, and we were talking about kind of like more of those defensive mids, talking about guys like Matic and a few other ones that
Yep.
they're good
Yeah.
players, but there's
Yeah.
some that kind of wear the crest a little bit more than others. And,
Yep.
and I felt Enzo had that. It's kind of something we were talking about with that.
He did, and I mean, I know for a long time he was in the media saying, "Hey, I'm not leaving, and I'm not leaving," and I think that almost got overshadowed by who filled in his shoes later on. We tried to slot some guys that would fit in there, but once we had the emergence of Renato kind of slide into that spot, it almost made us forget about Enzo. And that's not fair to his character. Renato himself was an absolute monster in our league and did bits for us, but Enzo was a guy that just he wore his heart on his sleeve. I remember him scoring a goal, the goal against Sporting, where he sat Eric Dyer with like a little in and out, and him coming up to the camera and crying. And just when I saw that, man, that hits me. Like I still get goosebumps every time I see that.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's pretty cool, man. And it's funny how we have all these guys that come on and like you look at, not that will ever forget guys like Jonas and Cardozo, but there's these moments
Right,
where all of a sudden you have these players and it's like this guy's not getting replaced.
right,
We got this attacking mid of Rui Costa. Who the hell are we gonna get? And then Imar
right.
shows up, and you're like, holy shit, okay, this
Yeah,
guy's pretty good. And then you
yeah.
get other guys. You have Cardozo, and all of a sudden it's like, well, this Jonas guy, he sounds good, but Cardozo, come on, it's Cardozo. And then I swear, within
Hmm.
like 12 months later, it's like, who do we have
Yeah,
before again?
right.
Which we've had like we've been spoiled the past 10 years,
We have. We
which has been
really
nice.
have.
It's been nice. I like it. I like being spoiled.
Yeah, absolutely.
We earned
And
it.
for sure, there's definitely some dark days in the 80s and 90s that we'd rather forget about. So let's live current for now and forget
Yeah.
about the past.
But one more touch on the past, and it could be current or further down in the past. Like when you think of those kits that we've had over the years,
Hmm.
is there a particular kit that jumps out to you in terms of a jersey that you like more?
Yeah, yeah. There was one from gosh, I think it was maybe 2011, 2012. We had in the champion. Well, we were I remember iconically because we had the Champions League crest on it. It was a black and gold kit, and I really really liked that. That was just one of my favorite. I've always liked gold. I'm hoping within the next few seasons we can get something with gold characters. I mean we have the champ. I mean we are the champions, so we've already got the gold crest in the
Yeah.
center. Let's follow it up with some gold letters. Just keep the tradition. Just keep the tradition going. So
Very good, very good. It's I think that's the is that the year where the home kit had the True Stars, I believe it is.
I think it was,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it was like the commemorative one, and on the
Hmm.
inside of it, it had a little a logo with the team and things of sort. I got that one upstairs. I'm a big fan of that one.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And then in terms of kind of going back to those early days, how if you compare today to when you were younger, watching the
Hmm.
games, because
Yeah.
every region's different. So for a lot of people globally, if you're in Portugal, you can easily watch it anywhere. If
Right.
you're out in a smaller part of Canada, where I was
Yeah.
for a bit of time, there's a few Portuguese clubs, and that's the only way you could watch it. But down in
Yeah.
Florida, down your neck of woods, when it came to watch Benfica when you were younger, and now obviously today
Yeah.
everyone has access online. But how's
Yeah.
been the how did you watch the games originally, and how's that evolved over the years?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I mean, the only time I could catch is if they were on ESPN and ESPN was running a Champions League game, and I happened to come home early enough from school, and they were on TV. I mean, that's such a slim chance. But I remember being able to watch them on Champions League on TV 3 or 4 times as a kid. But for Sundays, we'd either go down to the local Portuguese bar club try and watch it there. If not, listen on the radio. If we ever made anyone who lives in the tri-state area knows Newark's has a huge Portuguese community, and sometimes my parents and my sister and I would get in the minivan and drive 2 hours, 3 hours to go to Newark and have lunch there, and then watch a game at a club there. But nowadays, everybody can stream. Everybody's got, whether they're legal or illegal streams, they can watch it. I'm fortunate enough here in the States to have Gold TV, and they broadcast all the games. So yeah, now we are spoiled. Now we have that opportunity.
That's awesome. And is it something when you're at home watching it, let's say it's the weekend, you got a Benfica match coming up, is this like a you moment? Is your wife and kids involved, or how's that like?
Right now, it's just a me moment. My daughter's starting to get a little bit more into it. My son played soccer up until a few years ago, and then he stopped. And he's not into too much. He's one of the I'd rather play than watch types.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of both, but me, I mean, I'll grab a couple beers. The dog will jump on the couch, and that's it.
And you got your moments. There we go. Yeah, no.
That's it.
Any kind of superstitions you have like on game days, or you just take it easy, or is there certain things you? Is there certain, like, when a game happens? Let's say there's a game in like an hour from now.
Yeah.
Is there anything that starts kind of percolating with you, or?
Yeah, I got to start drinking before. If not, blood pressure goes through the roof, and you get a little nervous. Yeah, at least it's a 2 beer minimum beforehand.
That's awesome. And speaking of watching the game, me and you had the pleasure of watching a game together this summer.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a fun time. How many, for us that don't live in Portugal, how many games have you been able to watch over your lifetime, like in person?
Two, unfortunately, just two. So one of them was when I went to Massachusetts this past summer. Had the opportunity to meet a beautiful group of Benfiquistas. Maria, Cynthia, Carolyn, a whole group, Stephanie, litany of folks. I'm sorry if I didn't mention everybody.
We saw another Ontario! Benfica! 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 SLB! 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 Glorioso! SLB! Glorioso! SLB!
And the other one was I went to Portugal probably, 6 or 7 years ago, and I saw a game live there. I saw Benfica Sporting at home. That was a game where Nico Gaetan scored and Slimani scored.
Nice. So you got to see Sporting,
Yeah.
and then it was AC Milan at this one. Such a pretty good games to check out. And,
Yeah.
And Nico Gaetan, it was a tie game.
Yeah,
1-1?
it was a 1-1. Yeah.
Yeah. So how was that like experience to go to Luge? So it's your first time going to Luge. You kind of see that stadium. What was that feeling like?
It was just, I had no idea what to expect. I mean, you can only absorb X amount in pictures, and the atmosphere, and just, man, it was gorgeous. And it's incredible, when you live here in the States and you look at the cost of sporting events. I mean, to go to an NFL game, to get decent tickets on the lower level. I mean, I've gone to my local teams, the Tampa Bay Bucks. So I've taken my son to a couple Bucks games, and by the time you pay for parking and you get a hot dog and a drink or something and tickets, you're $300 to $400 in easy. And getting a ticket at midfield 3 rows up, was like €30, and I was floored. I couldn't believe how inexpensive that was. So shame to anyone that lives in Portugal and you don't go to every single home game. It's an absolute travesty.
Yeah, exactly. And nowadays, this is my envious. This is where I live here, and I watch these people complain in Portugal about ticket prices.
Yeah.
That Red Pass, your average ticket price per game works out to, like, on good seats, not shit seats. You're talking like the lower bowl, not the ends, but a little bit more. Like, I think it works out to less than €10 per game.
That's
for the whole season, and it's like insane. And I hear these people going, it costs a lot. I'm like, you're insane. I go down the street to Toronto. That's next door here. Yep. And I want to go watch the Maple Leafs, the Toronto FC, the Toronto Raptors, any of that stuff. Yep. and you want anything in the lower bowl section, not the upper deck,
Yeah,
easy 100 plus, easy. And depending on
all
what
day,
it is, you can
all
spend a
day.
couple hundred, and that's on one individual. And you get multiple people, and it just
Sure.
like it's just insanity. And people go, "Oh, there's a difference in income," but I'm like, yeah, but when you're spending like $8, €8.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, man. I know a cafe in Portugal costs €1, and I know these guys are having
Right.
like 6 or 5 of these every day. I'm like,
For
hey,
sure.
TTU, don't have a coffee every single day of the week, and you got your Benfica ticket on the weekend. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
it.
it's
That's it, man. Yeah, we are spoiled. I mean, the folks in Portugal are spoiled. We don't have that opportunity. I mean, I'd gladly put at home. You know, thankfully, like I said, you know, Gold TV provides it. If I had to pay €10 per game, I wouldn't tell my broadcaster this, but I'd probably pay it to watch it at home, much less watch it live in a seat. You know.
And that's the thing, actually. It's funny. The TV rights here in North America have been wonky. I think the
Yeah.
U.S. because the side of the market, it's they have these options. Here in
Yeah.
Canada, we had the unfortunate situation where Gold TV got. I think they have the games, but they don't have it set up properly on. You can watch it on a tablet, but you can't watch it on TV
Right.
for some stupid
Right.
reason.
Right.
We used to have Fubu, which was a good one, but like it's just
Yeah.
it's a constant switching of the rights, and that's why some people just switch to bootleg. That's what I ended up doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last year, I couldn't legally buy the game in Canada. That was a
Yeah.
stupidity that happened. But as fans, we'll pay it. We'll pay it. That's just us sitting on our ass to
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
the goddamn game.
Right. Right.
The
right,
idea of
right.
being in that stadium and the luge and the sound and the images. So was it you and your family that got to go to the game, or was it just yourself?
It was just me. I
Oh,
had
very cool.
some family that I hadn't seen in a while. I went to go see him and had the gracious opportunity to do so. So
Cool. And so, do you mind if I ask? So,
Yeah.
family background,
Yeah.
continent, Azores. What's kind of the mixture back there?
yeah, right from the mainland. Most of my family is from Lisbon.
Yeah.
My parents moved back there probably and my sister about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I decided to stay here in the States, and they live in a little town. Not even I couldn't even say it's a town. It's like a
Freguesia.
village.
That's a little.
Freguesia. Yeah, it's a portion of a district that once you go on the GPS, it's just gray.
That's awesome.
There's no streets. There's nothing.
Is it like
outside.
north, east, west? Like where?
It's
so
it's
you
real
got-
close to Spain. It's in the district of Porto Alegre.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the city's Niza. So it's just actually Niza's the big city. They live in a little tiny village outside of Niza.
Oh, very
But,
cool.
Yeah, but it's I went to go see them when I put it in the GPS. Like I'm glad I remembered how to get there as a kid, because once you pull into town, the GPS just goes gray. There's nothing on it.
Yeah, there's nothing you could do on that point.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. So good experience. Yeah, you got to go obviously see family, which is nice, and
Yeah.
get to watch a game. And that's the other one, I guess. Not to be ragging on people out in Portugal, but when you hear about these away games, oh, they're gonna go to France or Spain, or they're playing a team in Germany, and it's
Yeah.
like $50 or $80 for a flight to go and the ticket, and it's like, oh, now we got to pay the German
Right.
pricing of $20 instead
Right.
of the $10 or whatever the heck it's gonna cost,
Right.
right?
Right. Ridiculous.
For us, it's a little bit more difficult, whereas typically you're paying $1,000 to go to Portugal before
Of course.
you pay
of
everything
course,
out.
man.
You know what I mean? Like, it's insanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. So, just kind of stick a little bit more in that moment. So you went to the luge, you got to see the game. Did you get to spend
Yeah.
some time before the game or after the game around the stadium, or take some of that in, or?
Yeah, I went to go see the Casa tour. I took the tour the day after the game, and it was fantastic, man. Get to see trophies, get to see so many pieces of Benfica history and Benfica past. Just to see, it's not, I live in Florida, so I'm a little bit more isolated, and it's almost surreal sometimes, just to see people on, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or other social medias. Hey, I also have an appreciation for this team, for this club, for the game, and to go see that, hey, I'm not alone in my thoughts, that there are other people that love this, that are just as passionate, if not more passionate about it than I am. And just to see, even when I was taking the stadium tour, to see kids that were 4 and 5 looking at, glass cases with trophies in them, and people that are 80 years old who it's been their 40th time taking that tour to still be there. It's more than just a team. It's a family. It's everything. It's everything to folks, and it's just beautiful to be part of that and be part of this.
And it's funny. You probably have like friends and colleagues down in Florida, you talk to a bit about Benfica, and they kind of look at you maybe like you're crazy because to them they're like, okay,
Yeah.
and then sometimes I'll be honest, you get told you're crazy enough times, you kind of second guess yourself. Am I crazy? Am I Malouk?
Maybe a little.
I'm kidding, a little bit. But like, but then there's these signs everywhere. There's these signs. Like I know I can speak here locally
Right.
in Canada. The amount of there's like another town next door, which is Kitchener, and I remember once driving through the side. It's like there's a Benfica cafe. That's not a Casa Benfica. It's not affiliated. It's just some
Right.
guy that started a coffee shop, put the Benfica banner on it. Um, and you see these little bits. Or when we went down to our game that we saw together, the AC Milan game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
ICC. Um, Back in the day at the Gillette Stadium, they used to have the Zebu statue, but now they moved it over to. And I'm blanking out, but I do have. You know what? I have their thing here. If you give me 2 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was our friend Joe Zed that you met, the Sportingista. There are some good Sportingistas out there, and he got
He's
them.
one of them.
Yeah, he's one of them. Trying to read it properly, but at the time they didn't have one. It's a Lusitania club, and it's the Pioneers. The Pioneers is what they're called. But basically, those guys have the Zebu statue there now. And I find
Oh,
it
wow.
funny when you kind of go around different parts of the U.S. I've been to California before, and you'll see a Casa Benfica here. You see clubhouses. In Florida, is there? I know there's some Portuguese clubs, but if you were to if I was gonna go to Florida, I
Yeah.
can go anywhere in Florida, and let's forget
Yep.
about the beaches and forget about all that fun stuff.
Yep.
I go, I'm a Benfiquista going to Florida. Give me something. I miss Benfica, and I'm gonna be in Florida. Where should I go?
Yeah. Whew. Gosh, find your local airport and fly back to Portugal. There really aren't any Benfica facilities around here. Every once in a while, I mean, when I was in the airport getting ready to fly up, and I was in Tampa airport, and I wore my Benfica jersey up. There's a guy that came over to me and just out of the blue, guy probably in his 60s, comes over, "És Benfiquista, pá."
Yeah.
Vamos, let's go. and that was it, man. And that's just, and I'll wear my Benfica shirts out, and I have a huge Benfica tattoo on my leg, and I'll wear shorts out most of the year, and every once in a while, I remember being on a cruise, and we stopped in like St. Kitts, and there was a couple other cruise ships stopped in port, and I'm walking around with my family, and there was a guy that worked on the cruise ship, on a different cruise ship, comes over, he was on the beach, and he was just like, "Hey, is that Benfica tattoo?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Me too," and give me a hug.
I love it.
And that's it. And the
Absolutely
guy
love
just
it.
went right back to the beach, man.
I
I mean,
love
it's just, you find folks everywhere that are just as passionate as you are, and it makes you think. It's absolutely contradictory to the people that tell you you're crazy. They're the ones that are crazy because they don't know what this club's about.
And that's the thing. That's the thing with this community. Whether you know it online, whether you know it locally, whether you're back in Portugal or not. I find sometimes the people in Portugal, because they're so surrounded by it and they get to enjoy it
Yeah.
all. It's sometimes like too much of a good thing. It's like a kid eating a lot of candy. They're enjoying it,
Right,
but if they had an unlimited amount of candy, at some point they might not notice how good that candy is. And it's nice to kind of step away to appreciate it. And I've noticed that in my life also. It's kind of funny you talking about that, but it's I go around in life and I take Rui to my son to the soccer game, and I'll have my Benfica jacket on or something, and all of a sudden there'll be some guy on the sidelines, like a parent or some other kid. He'll look at me, and all of a sudden be like, hey, Benfica, like that. So doing the thumbs up, I'm like, hey, and it's like
Yeah,
you get this like giddiness in you. There's this bit of joy in you, and you get so excited to see another Benfica individual.
For sure. Just someone that's just as passionate as you are. It's fantastic, man. It really is.
Now, Attica, so I have to ask then for your wife.
Yeah.
Thankfully, she's been cool letting you watch your games. I shouldn't say she lets
Yep.
you, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
How much has she gotten to follow it, or how much has she, or does she kind of just let you be in your own little world and do your thing?
Yeah, she lets me kind of do my own thing. I forcefully, lovingly bring her into it many times. And, she'll be doing something else with the kids or watching a movie with somebody, with the kids in a different room. And she'll hear me just cuss, and she'll hear me yell and scream at the TV, and she'll be like, "Hey, it's just a game." And that might be the worst thing you could possibly say in that moment when I'm heated. No, it's not just a game, baby. Benfica was the person I loved before you. And that doesn't always go well. But either way, she's pretty cool with it. She understands how passionate I am about it, and she doesn't really get on me or bother me.
She kind of knows it's going to be a good day or a bad. Depending on the result, when you come
Yeah,
out of that
it
room,
is.
if you got a
It
big
is,
ass
man.
smile on your face, she's like, okay, we're gonna do our things
It
today.
is.
Eh,
It is. If it is, and legitimately, if it's a loss, there is a good hour where I'm unconsolable for an afterwards. It's just all right. I'm gonna go. Let me go break something so I can go fix it,
Yeah.
and just leave me alone for for 45 minutes or so.
All of a sudden, mommy looks at the kids. Mommy, we're gonna go shopping now. Daddy's got to
That's
do
right.
some,
That's right.
Daddy's got to take care of some stuff in the house. We'll be back in an hour or so.
That's right. Dad, I'm gonna go out for a drive. I'll see you later.
I'm gonna go get some milk. Hopefully, it won't be that long.
That's it, man. That's it.
Oh, that's awesome. Kind of going a little bit back to the club itself.
Hmm.
So we're kind of talking about players. We were talking about Enzo and oh, sweet Jesus, I blanked out all of a sudden. Jardel.
Yep.
Um, any kind of players that were before? Obviously, Eusebio's the big one that always kicks in
Yeah.
there. But kind of before our time, any other kind of stories you've heard, whether it be from relatives or other any kind of Benfica connected tales before you kind of really started following it that you kind of think back, it would have been cool to be alive to see X?
Yeah. Not personally, no. I again, I started following the club when I was a young man. Mid '80s, late '80s. So I didn't. And I didn't have that much exposure like we have today. We have the internet and we have YouTube and other compilation clips where we can go back and watch games from previous. I never had that luxury. I didn't have that opportunity. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to connect too much to earlier stuff. But really, watching now some of the Eusebio stuff and the way the guy play. I mean, he's playing on another level. When he was playing, just watching him dribble and coming on against South Korea and putting a hammering and picking Portugal back up to go on and win that game was phenomenal. I mean, the only players I could make him comparable to is Ronaldo and Messi, where they're just that much better than everybody else on the field. They make the most difficult task look like it's simple.
Yeah, and kind of when we go from like the past greatness and we look at today, looking at kind of this project the club's on right now with these young
Mm-hmm.
individuals. Is there anyone particular? And I feel like this year, even though it's very similar to last year's squad, there's been a bit
Mm-hmm.
of a refresh with some of the new names that come on,
Yeah,
plus some of the young guns that are coming. Um, is there anyone right now you watch, like in the past few weeks or past couple of months that you're watching, like
yeah.
I think I'm gonna enjoy this individual, and I hope I get to enjoy him more.
Um, I right now I know there's a massive hype around Jota, and,
Yeah,
and there's a massive hype around some of the Tavares boys that are playing. I don't. There's no one that gets me just super super excited right now, like Renato did, like João Felix did, like you've seen so many kids come through the academy who said, "Hey, this guy can step up and make the next level and take the next step." I'm sure that the kids are there on the team. I'm sure they have the ability. We are very fortunate to play in the league that we play in, where we can take our best 11, unplug two or three pieces, and plug in the Nun Tavareses, and we can play uh, whoever it is off the B team up front, and not really miss much of a beat. We have that luxury. It's positive and negative for us because we don't really have that much of a competitive team. I don't think Brunelage would ever consider taking off a BZ and putting Jota in his place against the Sporting of Braga or Porto. But against the Moreirenses and against the Rio Aves of the world, that's not an issue. At this current time, there's no one that really gets me excited. I know the staff probably has the next 15, 16, 17-year-old prodigy that's on the B team ready to take the next step, but I haven't been tremendously impressed. And to be realistic, I think we as Benfiquistas have even been a little bit fortunate to see Sporting struggle, to see Porto struggle over the last 2 or 3 years. Because if we go back and review some of the powerful squads that they've had, our current team couldn't face the likes of a Falcao, a Hulk, and Jackson Martinez and dominate them. That's non-existent, I think, right now.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, we're kind of we've hit this almost this Goldilocks scenario domestically where there was this for people who don't know, what they call the third party agreements with players, where you used to have
Yeah.
foreign investors that would be able to
Right.
own the players, and the club might partially own it. It was a way of
Right.
people profiteering off the transfer window.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Porto became masters at that game. That's how they
Sure.
got those guys like Falcao, Hulk, and Jackson Martinez, and many others. And they built these
Hmm.
squads that were just they were good. They not only good
Yeah.
domestically, but they competed in Europe, and all the power to
Yeah.
them. And it would take like for Benfica, and I got to think about that first title George Jesus won with us.
Yeah.
It took a star-studded squad with Aymar, Di Maria, David Luiz. You had all these guys that the young
Oh yeah.
guys were like rock stars coming up as young guys, and the
Right.
older senior guys were rock stars in their own right. And it was
Right.
like a battle to the finish to try to win it. Whereas I agree right now, once those rules went out the window, Porto hasn't been able to kind of take advantage of that. Their academy hasn't been as good, and they're
Yep.
kind of a shell of what they have good players. They have great players, but it's
Yeah.
not the same ferocity. And Sporting just completely, they almost went. It was like a crackhead injecting more into their veins with that George Jesus
Yeah. Of
business,
course.
and
Of
they went
course. Yeah.
full throttle, and they got so close,
Yeah.
and they completely crashed hard, and now they're
It did.
they're a disaster, utter
They
disaster.
they are, and really that the third party ownership. Not only, I mean, it hurt the big three to some extent, but the ones that really hurt are the smaller clubs in Portugal. The guys who can't go out and pay the 5, 10, 15, $20 million release clauses. The guys, the Guimarães and those type teams who are, their transfer budget for a year might be €1 million. And they've got to try and pick up guys who are free or out of contract, or sign them on pre-contracts for the following summer. That might be the only opportunity they have to sign a guy. And after you do that, you sign them to an elevated contract, and there goes half of your team's budget on one player. So that's that almost in and of itself is its own art, of finding guys that are on free or in lower leagues that can make the jump that they can see.
Yeah, and it's but yeah, and for us, we kind of started this project several years ago, and the third party was
Hmm.
still a thing.
Yeah.
But it was this idea that maybe we could try to intertwine the two, the third party plus the youth side, and it fell apart, and the youth came in as a perfect plug, right?
Right. Right.
Look at more at some of the senior guys in the team, like whether you're looking at like I know he hasn't been with the club that long, but he's an experienced guy, Vinicius. Looking at guys like Pizzi, Rafa,
Hmm.
Servi, Grimaldo. Is there like a current player in this starting 11 or this current squad that kind of goes, that's my guy? Like when you see him, you get a little bit more, you get
Yeah.
more excited with, or
Yeah, yeah. I know he's fallen out of favor this season, but Samaris.
okay,
I
yeah,
wasn't super crazy about him initially when we got him. I said when George Jesus got him on the team, I said, here's another number 10, which is where he played at when he was with Olympiacos. He played as a number 10. We're going to convert him. We're going to pull a Matic, right? We're going to go from a number 10 all the way down to a number 6, and we're going to convert him. And I said, man, this isn't going to happen. I saw this guy that was sluggish and couldn't move the ball, and the guy started to play more with his head and more with his mind and more with his feet. And when I saw the guy in an interview speaking flawless Portuguese, better Portuguese than I've ever heard Rui Patricio speak Portuguese, it hit me. I was like, this is a guy who feels the club. And you even see the guy now, he's not a first team player. And all over social media, he's doing positive things for the Portuguese community, and he loves to live there. And it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal that even a foreigner who, this isn't where I'm from, but this is where I belong. This is what I feel. I mean, that hits me. That I feel that so much in somebody's. That's a guy I like. And I know he just got a contract and he's not part of the team, but he provides that leadership. He provides that fire, that anger for the club, for the team, for playing for the jersey. The guy knows what the jersey means. And that's a guy I love. I love to watch him.
I've always felt that in the past couple of years, because he has been out of favor a bit. Like he played a little bit last year, but
Yeah.
let's say the last 2.5 years really hasn't been like the main guy, right? And people always go, "Oh, are we going to transfer him out?" And I've always personally felt, and kind of echoing what you said, that he was that rock in the locker room. Like he's a Benfiquista through and
Yeah.
through. And you need those guys that love the club. And there's something to me, and I can kind of sense it in you also. When you see, it's one thing to see a Portuguese guy. You're born in Portugal. You're always a Benfiquista,
Right.
and now you play for Benfica,
Right.
and you love it. You're happy. It's great. Like
Yeah.
Renato Sanches, he's a little kid that grew up. He's like the perfect example
Right.
of it, right?
It's all you know.
And
It's
so
all
and you love to see the kids fulfill their dream. It's really cool. But when you see a foreigner come to the club, whether it be an Enzo Perez, whether it's
Yeah.
Samaris, whether it's a Luizão from Brazil, a guy from somewhere else, and they feel it, it's I don't know what it is. It's funny. It feels it kind of verifies this feeling we all have,
Right.
right? When you
That
see,
we're not crazy.
yeah, we're not crazy. See, we told you, you come here, you're gonna be happy. And I bet you somebody's probably like thinking in his head, man, if I came as a young kid, I would have nationalized Portuguese and I would have always played here because
Yeah.
it's these guys that make their home. And this is like for people who talk about nationalization of players. I love to use Pep as an example, as much as I hate him at Port. Here's a guy that to me, he's Portuguese through and through. Like he
Yeah.
refuses to wave the Brazilian, he waves the Portuguese flag, and he feels it. And then to me, Samadi's example was what you just said, that interview. And I remember when I first saw that interview, the first time he did that, like I think the reporter started in English, and
Hmm.
Samadi's just responding in Portuguese. Like, damn,
Yeah.
well that's good, that's good. And then every
Right.
time you'd
That's real
see him,
good.
it's like, whew, okay, he's officially better
Yeah.
than me. I only came here as a small child and have a whole
Right.
family side of it. But yeah, this guy like he really took it and he owned it. And then you sometimes get these guys that are, and not to be disrespectful, you might get a guy from like Argentina, which he might love the club,
Yep.
but he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden the guy will, in Portuguese say, what'd you think of the game? You've been here 3 seasons at the club,
Right.
and all of a sudden he comes out in Spanish, hey, jogo muito poquito, and then he starts whipping out, and it's
Right.
like, I'm like trying to translate Spanish into Portuguese all of a sudden.
Yep. Yep.
It's like somebody's just went full out. I guess it's different with the language, but still, like it's the
It
effort.
is. I remember seeing Matic do the same thing. His Portuguese is phenomenal.
Yeah. I just wonder maybe because it's such a different language compared to like Serbian or Greek and this and that you truly have to go, okay,
Right.
I gotta learn this. Whereas in
Right,
Spanish
right,
you can
perhaps.
be lazy. You can kind of say, fuck, I don't need to learn this stuff.
Yeah. Right.
I got
Maybe.
this.
Close enough.
It's kind of like a guy from like Texas going to England. He's not gonna start saying tea
No,
time
no, no,
anytime
no.
soon.
No, certainly not.
That's very cool. So I guess for everyone out there in the world of the Benfiquistas across the globe, if you wanted to share anything else about Florida man Nelson, would there be anything you'd want to share in terms of bits you have?
Um, just love the club. I mean, if it's something you love, share it. Whether you have kids or family, and you're not alone. Even if you get isolated, and if it's something you're truly passionate about, just love it. Find the folks. There is a community out there that loves the same thing you love. Whether you have people directly close to you in sense of distance, or find them on the internet, find Twitter communities, find forums, find Instagrammers that love the same thing that you love, because there's a community out there of Benfiquistas in this world that loves you, loves the club, loves everything you do.
Awesome. And if anyone was to say, man, I want to maybe creep on Nelson and follow him on Twitter or Instagram, is there like a couple platforms you prefer better that people ever reach out to you on?
Just Twitter and Instagram are my main ones. My handles are both the same. It's Nelson L08. I photograph a little bit, so I'll be starting a professional Instagram page over there pretty soon. Probably when the USL MLS season kicks off this spring. So follow that, and just love what you love, man. Just love what you love.
Awesome. So I got to say a massive thank you for taking this time to kind of spend with us, and yeah, man, it was fantastic.
The pleasure's mine, Mario. Again, I'm privileged to have a community to express my feelings and share what I love. I'm just happy. I'm happy it's here. I know it took us a little bit of time to get together, but it's definitely worth the wait. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and everybody that listens, just give your praises to Mario, his team that run Benfica After 90, Cynthia, and her team over there that run Azagia's podcast, and anybody else who's either got a small project or a big project. Give them all the support they can, man.
Awesome, buddy. I appreciate it. And yeah, man, I got to get down to. It's funny, my sister's actually out in Florida right now, so I should tell her to go visit. She has her boyfriend's family always meets up in Florida for Christmas and New Year's, so she does Christmas with us and then flies out for New Year's with them.
It was freezing here today. It was 10 below.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
10 below 70. It was 60 degrees this morning. So
I think
yeah,
I think you're safe using the shorts all year round, pretty much there, eh? That's
Pretty much. Well, not. I used to be. Not anymore. Now anything below 70, the heater's on and I'm wearing pants.
That's a good problem to have, man. Thank you so much.
It is.
All
I
right,
appreciate
buddy.
it, Mario.
All right, peace.
Thanks, man. See ya.